In this presentation, I want to show you how you can learn about string manipulation, like insert, append, and replace. So as you read the book and you learn about string manipulators, you can create a program to practice and see if you understand the concept. So we can plan a program for that. So we're going to start the program, and after that we will need strings. So we're going to have strings in order to manipulate them. So we're going to be inserting strings into other strings. We're going to be appending string into another string, and we're going to be replacing strings. So that means we're going to have some strings to work with. After we'll have strings, then we need to print out a string to see its contents. And after that, we will need to find a function, hopefully somebody else's pre-written function that we can call to make the manipulation. And after we manipulated the string, then we need to print it out to make sure that it actually worked. So in this case, let's just say these are going to be our declarations. This is going to be just a string output, and we're going to be insert at. I want to learn how to insert something at a location. Print that string again to confirm that it actually worked. And then I can select this, paste it with Ctrl V. And then I also want to practice how to insert at the string end. So in order to do that, first I also need to print out a string so I know where I start from. And after I call the insert string at the end, I need to print that out again. And we do that to confirm. So at that point, we might also learn about how to use the length function. So in order to do that, I want to print out another string. And after I printed the string, what I'd like to do is learn how can I insert something at the end of the string by calling or finding out the string length. So then I need to confirm that again if it worked. Then I need to print out another string and then call another function in order to practice append to the string. Now, append means to add a string at the end of it. So append it should work exactly the same way that insert a string at the end by finding out the end index of the string, or if we insert something at the length of the string, which is going to be after the last character. So here we're going to have a special insert, which is the append function. So we're going to print out a string, then we print out append, or call the function append, and then we're gonna have the confirm to make sure that it actually prints out the appended string. And the last thing that I'd like to do is I'd like to practice how to replace portion of a string. So in order to do that, again, we need to, let me just copy these objects right here. I selected them by holding down the shift key and then selected the objects. So at this point we're gonna print out a string, and now we're gonna be replace string at position, and when we did that, we're gonna print it out again. So when we print it out, this is where our program will end. Okay, so this is our plan. Our plan is to start the program, declare some variables, display a string, the original string, then insert at a location within the string and print it out to confirm it, then print out a string, insert it at the end of the string, insert something at the end of the string, print out the string in order to confirm that the insert actually worked, and then take another string, insert a substring by calling the length of the original string, print it out to confirm it, then work with another string, try to append a string to it using a function call. Then we print out the string to confirm it that it actually worked. Then we print the string again, and we try to replace portion of the string. Then we print it out to confirm it, and that's where the program will end. Okay, so this is our flowchart, and if we want to, we can actually connect all these objects to each other to make it look like a real flowchart. Okay, we can readjust it a little bit so it will look nice. Make sure that you actually snap the connectors. So you click on the little X and make sure that you find the edge of the next object in order to connect it. Okay, so I'm gonna pause the video to complete the whole flow chart. So I'll be back in a second. Okay, so here's the final flow chart. We have kind of like a wish list. So we can start being more precise and add some string to this. So here we're gonna have a few strings to work with. You got the first, the second, the third string, str1 and str2. Of course, you do not have to be that precise in a flowchart, because that kind of defeats the purpose of the flowchart. But here, I just want to use the actual C++ syntax. Okay, so here we actually going to print out the first string. then you're gonna call a function. And in this case, we're gonna call the member function insert with an integer and then call it with str1. str1 is vary. So in order to confirm that it actually worked, we need to print out first string again after we inserted str1 at position 10. That is our confirmation. Now in order to do our second test, we replace the string and we print out the second string. Our second string going to be hello there. Now we want to insert something at its end. So in order to do that, we're gonna have to call a function. And we're gonna call a function and insert a value at position 11. Now in order to do this, we need to know the exact value of the string or the exact position where we want to insert the character, and here we're actually going to insert 5 of these characters. So after we call the function, we want to print out the resulting string to confirm that the insert worked. So at this point, we also like to insert something just by finding out the actual length of the string that we are inserting into. So in order to do that, we're gonna be working with the second string again. And in this case, I don't know what the resulting second string gonna be because we inserted something beforehand. So I don't know how to insert something at the end of the string. So what we're gonna do is we need to insert it by calling the function length. So in order to do this, we're gonna be working with the second string, and this time, because we don't know what the length of the string is, we're gonna call the function length in order to find out what is the length of the function, and at that position we're gonna insert 5 hash characters. So that's gonna be an insert at the end of the string without knowing exactly what is the length of the string. So at that point, we can print out the string again in order to verify it. So the next thing that we would like to practice is the append function. So in order to do that, let's print out the string again that we're gonna be working with. So we're gonna be working with the same string that we use the insert function with. And at that point, we're gonna call the append function, and the append function will append 5 asterisks at the end of the string. But the only way that we can make sure that it actually worked is by printing out the second string after we call the function. So at that point, we would also like to work with the replace function. In order to do that, we're going to work with the third string. In order to do that, we have to call a function called replace, and we're gonna be replacing the portion of the third string with string str2. So in order to confirm it, we're gonna actually print out the third string after we call the function. So that's very close, or actually this is the exact code that we would type into our compiler in order to test the string manipulation capability of C++. So now the actual code would look like this. We have the string declaration. We're printing out the statements. We're calling a function. And then we're printing out the results. Okay. So in this case, we're gonna place a breakpoint before the program exits, so we can see the actual results, and then we're just gonna go ahead and run the program. And if everything worked fine, then we can see how we started with hello there, and then hello there. We inserted 5 exclamation points at the end of hello there. But for that, we had to know that the string was 11 characters long. So the hello there exclamation points were actually saved in the string. So next time when we called hello string, the hello there was in second string. So when we added the 5 hash marks, those were added to the second string. So the third time we called or worked with second string, we started out with hello there exclamation points and hash marks, and we appended the asterisks to the string, and now we have 5 asterisks at the end of the string. In this case, we did not have to call the function length. We did not have to know how long the string was. Append will add the characters at the end of the string. So it is a lot easier to work with append than with just insert. And then we work with the third string, where the string had Henry is taking programming 1, and after we replaced Henry with Lisa, now the string is Lisa is taking programming 1. So as you can see, we started with a flowchart, and in the flowchart we had our wish list, and from the wish list we actually came up with a code, and now the code actually works the way that we wanted it to work, and there was no confusion when to use a cout statement, what to print out. We actually had that flow of the logic established in the flowchart. So I would recommend that you guys use something like this and write the flowchart first and then write the code afterwards. Now, one thing that you can also do is place more breakpoints into your code. So you'll know what happens. In this case, we already called the function. So we're gonna print out the result, and at that point you can also break the code. In that case, when we run the program, the most important aspect is to look at the code and where we stopped. Let's see if I can detach the window. Okay, so we can look at the actual variables and look at the first string and see what it looks like. Its size and capacity, and then each and every one of the characters in the character array. So a string is actually a character array. So right now we're gonna be manipulating first string, but we haven't done it yet. So we can advance the code, and now we are after the function call. At that point, now you can see that the first string is changed, and the first string is cloudy and very warm. So that is a longer string where very was added to the string. Now, one thing that you would notice is that now we have two spaces after very. So what really happened here? When we talk about cloud and warm, and then we added a string, but that string had a space before and a space after it. So when we're talking about end, warm, that space after the end was shifted. So the string was cut after the D and before the space, and then very was spliced into that. So you can see that the space before the very word was inserted after the end, and then there is an extra space that is inserted before the original space. So you can see that index 16 is the actual original space that was in cloudy and warm. So you can learn precisely how these functions work, and how they actually add characters. So at that point, you can look at what is the second manipulation that you're trying to do, and you can see that here we're going to be adding an exclamation point. For that, we can put a new breakpoint, and if we have the new breakpoint, we can advance the code after that function call. And at that point, we can recheck to see what happened to our string. So the second string was inserted 5 exclamation points, and you can see hello there, and there's the 5 exclamation points. So with breakpoints, you can step through the code one step at a time, one instruction at a time, and then when you look at the locals window, you can actually see the values of each one of your variables, and you can track their values one step at a time. It makes it very easy to debug your programs. So make sure that you design your code first, have a wish list. The wish list should be in your flowchart. Based on your flowchart, write a code. When you write a code, think about all the steps in the flowchart, match the flowchart to your code, or match your code to your flowchart. That would be a better way of doing, because you have to do the flowchart first. And when you have the code, place breakpoints within your code and monitor the progress of your code, and make sure you do know all the values of all your variables, in order to see how the code works or if it works properly or not, if the calculations are proper or not. In this case, because you're working with string values, you need to know exactly the location, the index value, when something was inserted or something was replaced. And you can see that easily with the breakpoint and the locals window. I hope you enjoyed it. See you next time.